What if having everything you ever wanted wasn't enough? Can too much money and privilege drive someone to do terrible things? Today we're going to talk about a shocking true crime story from 1924. It's about two very smart and very rich teenagers who did something unthinkable. They killed a young boy, not for money, but just to see if they could get away with it. This case became known as the crime of the century and showed how wealth and intelligence don't always lead to good choices. Let's dive into the disturbing tale of Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two privileged young men who thought they were above the law. The perfect lives of Nathan and Richard. Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb seemed to have it all. They were both incredibly smart kids from super wealthy families in Chicago. Nathan was 19 years old and already spoke 5 languages. He had graduated from college early and was an expert on birds. His dad ran a big steamship company and Nathan was planning to go to Harvard soon. Richard was 18 and had also finished college very young. He graduated from the University of Michigan when he was only 17. His family was even richer than Nathan's. Richard's dad used to run the huge Sears store company and was worth about $175 million in today's money. When Richard finished college, his dad built him his very own golf course as a present. These two boys lived in a fancy neighborhood called South Kenwood. Picture a street where every house is a giant mansion, and famous or rich people live in each one. The families there had lots of servants like maids, butlers, and drivers. Nathan and Richard never had to worry about money or work hard for anything. A twisted friendship. Even though Nathan and Richard seemed to have perfect lives, they strangely became friends. They both thought they were so smart and special that normal rules didn't apply to them. This belief would lead them down a dark path that no one could have predicted. They read about ideas from a philosopher named Nietzsche, who wrote about supermen, people so amazing that they could do whatever they wanted. Nathan and Richard decided they were these supermen, better than everyone else. They became obsessed with this idea, thinking it gave them the right to do anything they pleased, no matter how wrong or hurtful. Instead of using their smarts and money to help people, they started planning the perfect crime. They wanted to prove how clever they were by killing someone and getting away with it. It wasn't about money or revenge. They just wanted to show they could outsmart everyone. This twisted goal became the center of their friendship, turning what could have been a positive relationship into something dangerous and destructive. The terrible plan. Nathan and Richard spent months working on their evil plan. They made up fake names Morton D. Ballard and Lewis Mason. They rented a hotel room they never used, just to get mail sent there. This helped them open a bank account and rent a fancy car without using their real names. They thought of every detail, showing just how much time and effort they put into their horrible idea. They chose their victim carefully. It was a 14-year-old boy named Bobby Franks, who was Richard's cousin and tennis partner. Bobby was from another rich family in their neighborhood. Nathan and Richard thought no one would suspect them of hurting Bobby. They picked someone close to them, thinking it would make their crime even more shocking and impressive. It shows how their desire to prove themselves had completely twisted their thinking. On May 21, 1924, they put their awful plan into action. They saw Bobby walking home from school and offered him a ride. Poor Bobby had no idea he was in danger. Once he was in the car, they attacked him, killed him, and hid his body. It was a cruel and senseless act, done simply to prove they could outsmart everyone else. The fact that they could do this to someone they knew, even a family member, shows how far they had strayed from normal human feelings. The aftermath. Nathan and Richard thought they were so smart, but they made mistakes. Nathan dropped his glasses near Bobby's body. These weren't just any glasses, they were very special ones that only one store in the whole world sold. This tiny mistake would be the first crack in their perfect plan. When Bobby's family realized he was missing, they got very worried. Nathan and Richard pretended to help look for Bobby, even though they knew what had happened. They sent a fake letter asking for money to save Bobby, but it was too late. Someone found Bobby's body before they could trick his family. Their act of pretending to help while knowing the terrible truth shows how far they were willing to go to cover up their crime. the police found Nathan's special glasses and traced them back to him. When questioned, Nathan and Richard started blaming each other. But soon, they both admitted to what they had done. They seemed proud of their perfect crime and didn't show any sadness for Bobby or his family. Their reaction shocked everyone, as they showed no remorse for taking a young life. It was clear that their belief in being supermen had completely warped their sense of right and wrong. The trial and punishment. The trial of Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb was big news. Everyone was shocked that two rich, smart boys would do something so terrible. Their families hired the best lawyers money could buy to try to save them from being put to death. The case captivated the nation, with people wondering how two young men with so much potential could do something so evil. In the end, Nathan and Richard were sentenced to life in prison. Even in jail, they got special treatment at first. They were allowed to have silk pajamas and stay in a hotel instead of a regular cell. This special treatment caused a lot of anger, with people saying that even in punishment, the rich were getting it easy. It showed how money and privilege could influence things, even after such a terrible crime. But their privileged lives couldn't protect them forever. Nathan was killed by another prisoner in 1936. Richard was let out of prison after many years but died in 1971. Their story serves as a grim reminder that actions have consequences, no matter how rich or smart you are. In the end, their wealth and intelligence couldn't save them from the results of their terrible choices. The sad ending. This story shows us that having lots of money and being very smart doesn't always make people happy or good. Nathan and Richard had everything they could want, but they still chose to do a terrible thing. Their actions left a trail of sadness and hurt that lasted for years. Bobby's family was heartbroken. His dad was so sad that he died just 4 years after Bobby. The whole city of Chicago, and even the whole country, was shocked by what these rich boys had done. It made people question the values they were teaching their children and wonder if too much privilege could be a bad thing. People still talk about this case today, almost 100 years later. It reminds us that true happiness and goodness come from how we treat others, not from how much stuff we have or how smart we are. The story of Nathan, Richard, and Bobby is a sad lesson about the dangers of thinking you're better than everyone else and not caring about others' feelings. What we can learn. This sad story teaches us some important lessons about life and how we should treat others. It shows us that being rich or smart doesn't make you better than other people. These things can sometimes make people think they don't have to follow the same rules as everyone else, which can lead to big problems. We learn that following rules and being kind is more important than trying to prove you're special. Nathan and Richard thought they were so smart that they could do whatever they wanted, but they were wrong. Their actions hurt many people and ruined their own lives too. The story also teaches us that true friends don't ask you to do bad things. Nathan and Richard encouraged each other to do something terrible. Real friends help each other make good choices, not bad ones. We see that our choices can hurt many people, not just those we mean to. Bobby's whole family was hurt by what happened, and so were Nathan and Richard's families. Lastly, we learn that money can't fix everything or protect us from consequences. Nathan and Richard's families were rich, but all their money couldn't undo the boys' actions or save them from punishment. It's a reminder that being a good person is more important than being rich or famous. Remember, it's not what we have that makes us good people. It's how we use what we have to help others and make the world better. We should be thankful for what we have and use our talents to do good things, not harmful ones. This story from long ago still has lessons for us today about kindness, responsibility, and the true meaning of being a good person. The story of Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb is a sad reminder that having everything doesn't always lead to happiness. These two boys had all the money and brains anyone could want, but they still did something terribly wrong. It's important to remember that being a good person is about how we treat others, not about how much stuff we have or how smart we are. We should use what we have to help people, not hurt them. This case from long ago still teaches us lessons today. It shows us that following rules and being kind is more important than trying to prove we're special or above the law. Thank you for listening to this true crime story. If you found it interesting, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Remember, we can all choose to use what we have to make the world a little bit better every day.